Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. I'll wave like the Queen. Hello, everyone. Welcome. How are you all? Good. You have lots to say this morning. Lots to say. That's okay. We've got one last couple people coming in. That's all right. So the last few weeks, we've been doing a lot of work kind of opening up joints and getting access to joints and tissues from the fingers all the way to the toes, right? And I think one of the things I have been talking about quite a bit is power, right, as opposed to strength. So strength is like how much we can move. Power has an element of time to it, right? And if we look at anything in nature related to power, the most powerful force in nature. Did anybody want to take a guess what that is? What direction? What direction? Down? No, but that's a good guess. Yeah. It's probably a bad way to ask the question. It's rotation. So we get more power from rotation. If I want to move something, the more I rotate, think of how a screw goes into wood, right? It's the rotation that gives it the power to get in there. It's a lot different than a nail, right? So a screw is gonna give you more rotation. So we have kind of rotational movements in all of our joints, or in many of our joints. And the most rotation we get is from our spine. So I brought my spine with me today. So we're gonna do a class. The class today is going to be focused completely on spinal movement, right? We're gonna really access spinal movement. So I just want to orient you. So these two little stumpy things, these are your thigh bones, right? So these two little guys. This little bone here, a big bone here, and big bone here. So I'm going to put it right in front of me because this is how it is. These are your pelvis. This is one side of your pelvis. This is the other side of your pelvis, right? So they sit on either side. This is the front of the body. So your guts are right here. So when we turn this around, we've got the back part of the pelvis on this side. Excuse me, back part of the pelvis on this side. This guy down here, this little brown bone down here, is your tailbone or your coccyx, right? So this is not quite representative for most people. The coccyx actually turns in a little bit more into the body. This one is a little bit straighter. This orange bone here is your sacrum. And your sacrum sits between your left pelvic bone and your right pelvic bone. Right? And it's in a little bit. This is a little exaggerated. Most of us, our sacrum is not in quite as far as this. Now your sacrum is attached to these two bones via some really strong connective tissue. And that strong connective tissue doesn't act like concrete. It acts like a sort of a tensile structure. So it not only provides like support, but it also provides some movement in there. So your sacrum actually moves between your two pelvic bones, okay? The green bones here are your lumbar spine, right? So your green bones come up from your sacrum. These are your green bones. These blue bones represent your thoracic spine, right? So from your sacrum, which is right about, your sacrum stops right about here, these blue bones, now your ribs come out like this from your thoracic spine, and they wrap around to the front of your body, and that's just in the blue area, okay? We come up a little bit farther, you can see the pink bones, that's your neck. So what I want everybody to do is take your hand, reach behind you, and right about at the top of your shoulders, I want you to just kind of feel around on your spine. You feel the really big bump? Everybody got that big bump? That is where your thoracic spine turns into your cervical spine. So that's where your upper back ends and your neck begins. It's lower than you might think, right? So that big bump is your 7th cervical vertebrae. That is a landmark. So your cervical spine comes up into the back of your head a little bit, and the top 2 vertebrae in the cervical spine, they actually do a little bit different movement. They rotate around a little bit differently than the others. So that's your spine in a nutshell. What do you think the movements of your spine are? So I'm going to give you a little quiz here. So I'm going to sit this gal on my lap. Bending. Give me more than that. Sideways. So side bending, right? Twisting. Forward and backward, right? So we've got all of those movements. Now the really cool thing is that your spine can do a combination of those movements, right? So we can bend forward and rotate. We can bend back to the side and rotate. So we can do all of these really complex movements. Want to guess how many of those complex movements we do on a regular basis? Not many. Yep. So most of us do certain movements. I'm going to just move this off to the side a little bit here, but we'll be referring to it all through class. Most of us do forward movement almost exclusively. We only do backward movement or extension. So we do flexion movement, but we'd only do extension kind of movement when we have to, right? But we sit in this position a lot. We don't often exercise in a way that that uses our rotation skills, and that's where our power comes in for our spine, right? So we think about building strength and building flexibility in the limbs, like the arms. We want to get strong and flexible. The hips and the legs, we want to get strong and flexible. But we don't spend a lot of time working on getting strong and flexible in the spine. So that's what we're going to do today. So as we're going through our movements today, what I want you to do, and I'll keep directing your focus back to this, I want you to think about or see if you can sense or feel how that movement impacts your spine, whether that movement comes from your spine, and what that feels like. Okay? So a little less on the limbs, a little more on the rotation inside. Trying to think if there's any other things I need to say here. So between each of your vertebrae, you can see probably from here, there's like these little clear things. Those are your discs. And contrary to what people might think, your discs aren't these little jelly donuts. Some people have described them like jelly donuts. They are way stronger than that. They are really thick, fibrous-y, strong, tough things, especially when we get down into the lumbar spine, because the lumbar spine takes a lot of weight. Oh, this was the other thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned to you. So how many of you have ever been told to straighten your spine? Straighten your spine. You can't. It's not possible. The reason is, take a look at that spine. It's not straight. It's curved. You want to know why? Sure. Sure I do. Tell me. Your spine is curved because it has to act like a shock absorber. When you take a step, your spine has to absorb that shock. If this was straight, imagine like an oak tree, tall and straight. Comes a storm, what happens? That oak tree gets toppled over, right? You get a tree more like a willow or a beech, not a beech, a willow tree. So a willow tree is a little bit more able to take those forces. So we have to have these bends or these curves in our spine in order to do that. That also helps to facilitate some movement, right? So again, thinking about how we do that. The yellow things here. See all those yellow things? Those are nerve roots. So everything that controls your arms and your legs, all the nerves that control your arms and your legs come through your spine. So if you want to move your hand, there's a conversation that has to happen through your spine. If your spine is kind of sticky or tough or tight and you're kind of compacted in one way, that can put some pressure on those nerve roots and create some pain or discomfort. Now, the interesting thing about nerve pain or nerve compression, I won't say pain because it's not always pain. The interesting thing about nerve compression is that I can have something compressing in a nerve up here in my neck, but I'm feeling pain in my wrist. I don't necessarily feel it all the way down my arm. Anybody who's ever had sciatic pain, right? So your sciatic nerve runs out, it comes down through your low back, and it runs out through these little holes in your pelvic bones and down your leg. The sciatic nerve is the longest, it's the largest nerve in the body. So if you look at it, your sciatic nerve is like the size of your index finger. That's a big, the diameter. That's a big nerve. So you can have an impingement on your sciatic nerve, maybe somewhere in your low back or somewhere in your leg. Depending on where that impingement is, you're going to feel that discomfort, that radiating discomfort in different places. Some people will say, I'm only feeling it in my foot. I don't feel it anywhere else in my leg, just in my foot. It just happens to be where it's compressing on the nerve. So kind of interesting stuff here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to tell you for the test. I think I covered it all. Do you have any questions? Oh, it's open body, and multiple choice always. Yes, yeah.
So I've heard the expression that someone has a slip disc.
Yeah.
So what is that?
It's a colloquial term. So yeah. So it just means that there's been a little bit of some people will say a slip disc or a herniated disc. It just means that some of this disc material has either bulged out a little bit or it's compressed a little bit. So when people have a herniated disc or a slip disc, they'll usually have some pain associated with it because the disc is there to cushion so that the nerves have lots of space to do their nerve stuff. And if there is not as much space, the nerve is going to get a little bit, it's going to get a little bit tight, and nerves are not very affectionate in that way. They don't like to be snuggled too tight. So that'll give you the nerve pain. Yeah. Anything else?
When we talk about strengthening your core, that's muscle.
Yes. It's right. Yep. We good? Okay. So we are going to start with a little bit of breathing. And we're going to start with our breathing thinking about the thoracic spine. That's the blue part. So I'm just going to refer to this in colors because it's a little bit easier. And by the way, just in case, because somebody did ask me this, your spine is not colored. Just saying. This is just for demonstration purposes only. So the thoracic spine, again, that's the blue part. This is where all your ribs, they come from right back here and they wrap around to the front. So it goes all the way to your back. Your ribs go all the way to your back and connect back there. So when we're doing our breathing, what I want you to think of is as your rib cage expands and contracts with that breathing, what's happening in your spine, right? If a rib is clicking into the spine, it's going to have some impact on it. So close your eyes. Just take a couple of breaths. And focus your awareness on what is happening in your spine as you're breathing in and breathing out. And if you're saying, well, there's not a whole lot going on back there, start to deepen your breath. Take some nice deep breaths so that you feel your rib cage expand on the inhalation and contract on the exhalation. And this is the cool thing about breath. You can control it. You can make your breath bigger, longer, deeper. So as you're breathing in and breathing out, as your rib cage is expanding on the inhalation, what's happening in your spine? And as you exhale and your rib cage is contracting, again, what's happening in your spine? Breathing in, breathing out. So we're going to continue with this breathing, and as you exhale, I want you to round through your spine a little bit, and it's mostly where your ribs are, right? So not so much your neck and your lumbar spine, but where your ribs are. And then as you inhale, extend a little bit. So you can do this eyes open or closed, it doesn't matter. So as you exhale, you're just sort of rounding a little bit, that's flexion. And then as you're inhaling, that's extension. So we're just breathing in, breathing out. And we're really focusing on those blue vertebrae, that area where the vertebrae are blue. So the rib cage or thoracic spine. And then coming back to sort of that neutral position. Now we're just going to breathe in and breathe out and see if you can do a little side bending. So as you breathe in, you're going to lean to one side. And I want you to see if you can feel what's happening in the spine, right? So where the rib cage is kind of clicking into the spine back there. And your ribs do kind of click in. There's some cartilage that supports the ribs in there. So we're just leaning a little from side to side. It's like you're trying to bring the bottom of your rib cage toward your pelvic bone on one side, and then toward your pelvic bone on the other side. So you can just sort of feel that. So we're just warming things up a little bit here. One more time. Again, just breathing in, breathing out, nice and easy. And then coming back to sort of that center position. We're inhaling and exhaling and feeling what's happening in the rib cage. And then we're just going to do a really easy twist. So twist your spine, not your head necessarily. You can turn your head, but see if you can twist that sort of middle part of your back. And then come back and go to the other side. So again, just a really interesting, easy movement. If you want, you can take your hands off your lap. Use your arms a little bit to kind of pull around. Right? You don't have to if you don't want to. It's just a nice thing to be able to do if you can. So we're just going from side to side. Good. Okay. And then coming back to center. So we've gotten all of those movements of the spine, right? Flexion, extension, side bending, right? And rotation. So we've gotten all of those movements of the spine. So now we're going to start to open some other things up so that we can do some more complex movements. So let's start by getting the shoulder blades. Now your shoulder blades are, again, this is where your ribs start right here. So your shoulder blades are just kind of at the top of your thoracic spine. We're going to bring the shoulder blades off the back as we press forward. And then we're going to bring the shoulder blades back. So we're just sort of coming forward and back, right? I'm going to turn my hands out. And see if you can feel that in your spine as well. So we're coming forward and back. You can move your head. You can tuck your chin under. Breathe in, breathe out. Great. And the next time that you have your arms out in front, so we're in that kind of stretched position, I'm going to have you hold here, grab hold of one hand with the other, and you're just going to move a little from side to side. So it's like you're doing a little bit of you're trying to push one shoulder forward and then push the other shoulder forward. So you're stretching that upper back a little bit, and you're breathing. And then take your hands behind you, palms are up. Right? And now push one shoulder forward and then the other. This is kind of the yawning position, right? So if you have your palms up and you're just kind of going from side to side a little bit, pressing your chest forward. And then let's go up overhead. So maybe grab one hand, give it a little pull, grab the other hand, give that a little pull. So you can feel the ribs. Excellent. Couple more. Great, and then release all of that. Let's just sort of roll the shoulders a couple times, just rolling up and around. Let's take the right arm, and we're just going to cross it over the body. So you're just pulling this arm across your body, and what you're going to do is you're going to look out over your right shoulder, and then look out over your left shoulder. And look out over your right shoulder, and look out over your left shoulder. And then bring your head back to center, release your arm. So most of us probably felt something in the shoulder, right, when we did that? Okay, so we're going to do that same movement, but the focus is going to be on the spine. So as you pull the arm over, I want you to see if you can feel what's happening in your back right near your spine. So just kind of pull that arm over. If you don't feel anything, pull it over a little bit farther and then release it. So do that a few times. Sometimes it takes a few times to really get the sensation in the spine. So it's beyond the shoulder, it's beyond the shoulder blade. Can you all feel something kind of pulling back there closer to your spine? Good. Okay, let's see if we can do that on the other side, because oftentimes we'll feel something on one side and maybe not as much on the other. So pulling that other arm across, and we just kind of see, okay, so what do I feel? And when I let it go, what does it feel like when I let it go? Right? Does it have another sensation when I let it go? So this is just sort of that inquiry. How about one more time? Good. Okay. So could you all feel something along your spine on one side or the other? Most of you could do that? Yeah. So if you've got something happening in your shoulders, that might preclude you from being able to feel it in the spine. Like if you have some limitation in the shoulder, that might not get you at the spine, but maybe this will. So take your right arm across your body, and we're going to pull it over to the side. Now, as you pull this arm over to the side, you're trying to pull your right arm to the left. I want you to continue to pull the right arm to the left and see if you can twist your body against that so you're twisting to the right. So in other words, if your arm wasn't pulled across your body, you would be twisting to the right. Can you all feel that? Yeah. And release. Let's do that just a couple more times. So this will really make you feel what's happening in your spine. So pull that arm to the left, twist your body to the right. So you're using your core. And Ellen asked about core. So you're using your core to turn. And then release. And you're not holding your breath, by the way. And do that one more time. And release. Good. And just kind of wiggle that out a little bit. So take a moment. Notice, do you feel something more on your right side than you do on your left side? Yeah. And it's not just your shoulder, it's into your spine, right? All right, let's do the same thing on the other side. So we're just going to pull that arm across. And as you pull the arm across, you're going to twist your body to the left. So in other words, if you weren't holding this arm, if you weren't keeping this arm here, you would be twisting to that left side. So twist, twist, twist. And relax the twist. Take a breath. Remember, we're not holding the breath. And then we're twist, twist, twisting. And relaxing. And how about one more time? We'll give it a nice twist here. And relax. Good. And then just sort of wiggle that out. So you're a little more aware now of what's happening there, right? Okay. So let's continue with a little bit of this movement for the shoulder blades. Because your shoulder blades, they sit on the back of your body right here, right? So here's one shoulder blade. Let's see if I can get it. So it's right there. That's the bottom of the shoulder blade. So it's very close to the spine. So when we're moving our shoulder blades forward and back, that has an impact on how well we're able to move that part of the spine. If that part of the body, if right between these two shoulder blades is really tight, there's going to be very little movement in those vertebrae there. So we're not going to get the kind of movement we want. So another little thing we can do for the shoulder blades is we're going to take the left hand over to the right knee. Okay. And did I say that right? Left hand to right knee. Yes. So we're going to take that and then put your other hand on top of it. And you're holding onto your knee now, right? So you're holding onto your knee. Actually, let's do it this way instead. Grab the outside of your leg right above your knee. We'll do another little anatomy thing here. Can you all feel, if you grab the outside of your leg, can you all feel like a plucky thing there on the outside? Like if you took your fingers and did that? Can you feel that? All right. Part of that is your hamstring. Isn't that cool? You're on the tendon of your hamstring there. So I want you to hold on to your hamstrings. Hold on to your hamstrings. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull. It's like you're trying to pull and twist away from that leg, right? So you're not leaning. We're not leaning. We're pulling and twisting. So if my hand wasn't here, I would be doing this. Got it? So I want you to do that a few times. And as you're doing that, I know you're feeling it in your arm and shoulder. What's happening in your spine? See if you can feel what's happening in your spine. Right? So we've got a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of pull happening up in that place where the shoulder blade is. And then let's do the other side. So take your other hand, go find your hamstring on that side. Give it a little pluck. Got it? You can put your fingers right under it. It's very handy hold right there. So we're just going to twist and pull. And twist and pull. And breathe as you're doing this. So you don't lead with your head now, okay? So I see a lot of people doing this. Don't lead with your head. You're leading with your thoracic spine. That's the blue part of your spine, right? So you don't even have to turn your head. You can keep your head where it is, right? Okay. And then do a little bit of a shake out. Let's do a little bit of shoulder work here. So let's rotate at the shoulders. How's everybody doing? Are you feeling your upper back a little more? Good. And then let's reverse. Reverse, reverse. Let's do a little syncopated rhythm like kayaking. And as you kayak, you're twisting a little bit here and then reverse the kayak because that's always a good thing to do. Okay. All right. And then let's relax that a little bit. Okay. So remember I was saying at the beginning that rotation is our superpower, right? Rotation is where we get our power in nature. So we are going to combine a few of the movements of the spine together in a way that accesses that rotation. Now, we typically don't move in this way, so I'm going to ask you to be gentle with yourself when you do it. You don't want to feel any pain. It might be uncomfortable. You want to try not to hold your breath, but I guarantee you're going to get to a point where you're going to hold your breath. So I'm just giving you that up front. So watch what I'm doing first, because you're going to be twisting and you're not going to be able to see, and then you're going to be turning your head and trying to twist, and that's not a good thing. So watch what I'm doing, and I'll talk you through this. So what I'm going to do first, very simple, I'm just going to twist, okay? And then I'm going to come from this twisting movement, and I'm going to extend my spine. So remember flexion and extension, right? So I'm going to twist, and then I'm going to extend, and then I'm going to twist a little bit more. I'm going to take a deep breath as I extend and twist even more. And then I'm going to come out of that. Could you all see that? Okay. Want me to do it again, or are we good to try? Good to try? Okay. I just did that on the right, so we are going to start on the left, because I don't want to do it twice on the right. Okay, so again, this looks super simple. It is simple in terms of how we get it, but it's a very complex movement for your body and for your spine. So I want you to take it really easy. Don't go for 100%. Do like 40 or 50%, because we're going to do it a few times, okay? All right, so the first thing is simply to rotate to the left. So do me a favor and don't hold on to your leg, because if you hold on to your leg, what's going to happen is you're going to use your hands and push yourself into the twist. So you can just kind of let your hands be wherever they're going to be. So you're rotated to the left. And now from this rotation, extend your spine. So remember, that's sort of a backward movement, right? So you can already feel something different is happening here. And then see if you can twist a little bit more. Rotate a little bit more. Ooh, that's getting into it, right? Okay, and now for one last thing, you're going to inhale as you rotate more and lift more. And then you're going to slowly exhale as you unwind. Give it a little wiggle, because that's a lot for your spine, right? How many of you do that movement every day? We don't, but your spine can do it, right? Your spine can do it. You just did it. So your spine is saying thank you. First of all, thank you for recognizing that I can do that. Second of all, thank you, because that juices up areas of the spine that don't normally get juiced up. So we're going to do this a few times. So let's go to the right this time. So we're just going to twist to the right. Nice, easy twist, and then extend. So you're extending the whole spine. It's like you're trying to bend backwards a little bit, right? You're breathing. And now we're going to rotate a little bit more. Keep breathing. Take a deep breath in. See if you can rotate a little bit more and extend. And this is where I'm sure you're holding your breath. And then we're going to slowly unwind. Whew. And give it a wiggle. So we're wiggling all kinds of things here. So that little breath hold at the end is normal because we've gotten to the end of our range. Our spine is twisted, but our rib cage is also twisted. So it's really hard to breathe when your rib cage is in this twisted position. So can we do one more time on each side? Is everybody okay with that? Yeah. Okay. Now, if you felt like, well, that was okay, but I could do more, maybe explore that. If you're like, that was a lot, then maybe back off a little bit. So this is kind of where you personalize this for yourself, for whatever feels okay. So we're going to twist to the left, and then we're going to come into extension. So extend the spine, and then we're going to rotate a little bit more, and extend the spine. Take a deep breath in. See if you can rotate more. And then let it out as you slowly unwind. Whew. Give that a little bit of a wiggle. All right, and last time we're going to twist over to the right, extend, rotate a little bit more, extend, see if you can take a deep breath in as you rotate and extend, and let it all out, come back. Let's give that a little bit of a wiggle. Let's stretch the back of the body again, pull one arm over. Take your head to the right. Turn your nose up. Turn your nose down. Come back to center. Release that arm. Take your left arm over to the right. Bring your ear to the right shoulder. Turn your head up. Turn your head down. Come back into that center position. Great. Let's give that a nice little rotation here. Okay, so now take your hands, let them rest on your thighs. And we're going to do a little bit of work for the neck because we've loosened up some of the stuff in that thoracic spine. Now we're going to get up into the cervical spine. So just drop your chin to your chest. Breathing in and breathing out. Roll your head so your right ear goes toward your right shoulder. Keep breathing as you roll your head back to center and bring your left ear toward your left shoulder. And then back to center. So you're going a little nice and slow from side to side. You're just rolling one ear to the opposite shoulder. The next time you have your right ear on your right shoulder, you're going to hold here and you're going to turn and look up. And then turn your nose down. We're going to roll over to the other side. Turn and look up. Let's do that one more time. Roll over to the right. Turn your nose up. Bring it down. Roll left. Oops. Turn your nose up. Bring it down. Come back to center. Let's lift up. Coming all the way up. So we've got a little bit of neck movement in there. Let's wiggle that out a little bit here. So just give it a little wiggle. Okay. So we don't often think about the head as creating tension in the spine, but if your head muscles, and you do have muscles in your head, if your head muscles are tight, that's going to make your neck muscles tight. If your neck muscles are tight, that transfers down into your spine. So there's a couple movements we're going to do for the head specifically. So go right above your ears and use the pads of your fingers, not your fingernails. Use the pads of your fingers. So you're going to go right above your ears. And you're just going to mush that around a little bit. So just press in. So you're not like this. You're like this, right? So you're mushing that around a little bit. Mush, mush, mush. And that can be a little sore. Anybody feeling a little sore there? No? No? Nobody? Wow. Yes. Okay. Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Okay. So now you're going to push in a little bit. And again, you don't want to push too hard, but you're just pushing in a little bit. This is your temporalis muscle that we're working on, by the way. This is one of your head muscles. And pull back like you're trying to give yourself a facelift. Ooh. Yeah, now we're talking. So we're pushing back on that, and then I'm going to have you open and close your jaw, your mouth, right? So it's like you're yawning. A big open in your jaw. So as you're opening your jaw, you're kind of pulling back on the temporalis muscle here. And then the next time you as you're opening and closing, mush it around. Good. Okay, and then relax that. And you're going to bring your hands down, and I want you to put your hands like right on the outside of your jaw right here. Clench your teeth a little bit. You feel something pop into your fingers? So you don't want to be here, you want to be back here. It's closer to your ears. So can you all feel that? Yeah. So those are your chewing muscles. Those are your masseter muscles. Those get very tight, so we're going to mush those around a little bit too. So relax your jaw and just mush, mush. Smushy, smushy. Right on your face. No fingernails, right? Just finger pads. Okay. And then pull back. We're doing a chin lift here. So we get the chin lift and we're going to open and close. And some of you might hear some clicking or feel some clicking in there. That happens too, right? Next time as you're opening and closing, mush while you're opening and closing. Because you're getting the muscle in different positions, different lengths. So for some people, it's more sensational when your mouth is open. Okay, and then relax all of that. Close your eyes. Take a moment and just notice if that had some impact, or notice what it feels like in your head and your jaw right now, and what impact that might have on your spine, on the pink part of your spine, which is your cervical spine or your neck. Does that feel a little bit different? So taking a couple more breaths. And then with your next exhalation, you're just going to round forward. So it's like you're trying to bring your nose down toward your navel. And you're just going to hang out here, breathing in, breathing out. And then see if you can come farther forward. So you might want to walk your feet out a little bit. And I want you to come down and see if you can look under your chair, like you're trying to find a piece of gum under there. We're always looking for gum in this class. If you find gum, we're going to tell Carrie. So just kind of looking down, breathing in, breathing out. And then slowly push into your hands, and you're going to come up until you're just kind of resting your elbows on your legs. And slowly lift your head. So we're not coming all the way up to a seated position quite yet, but you're not leaning forward. So now your head is above your shoulders again, right? Everybody in this position so you can see me if you look up? Okay. So from here, you're going to take one hand, and you're going to push into your leg, and you're going to come all the way up. Good. Let's just kind of move the head around a little bit. Give yourself a little wiggle. And we're going to do a little bit of a stretch for the front of the body. So if you take your hands to the back of your chair, go all the way back. You're sitting right on the front edge of your chair. And what we're going to do is we're going to push the chest forward and lean back a little bit. And then push one shoulder forward. And then push the other one forward. So as you push one shoulder forward, see if you can squeeze the other I have scapula in my head. Shoulder blade. Yep. So you're gonna push the other shoulder blade to the spine, right? So now the next time you push your right shoulder forward, I want you to look out over your right shoulder and breathe. And then come back, and we're going to push the left shoulder forward, and we're going to look out over the left shoulder and breathe. And let's go back and forth. We're going to go to the right again. We're going to push and hold and breathe. And then go to the other side. We're going to push and hold and breathe. One more time. Push, hold, and breathe. And then push, hold, and breathe the other side. And come back to center. Release all of that. Whew. Let's kind of rotate those shoulders a little bit. How we doing? Everybody okay? All right. So let's do this. Let's take the hands. Can everybody get your hands behind your head? So it's like you're just holding the back of your head. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Pull the elbows back. And then release. So we're squeezing the shoulder blades together. And then releasing. We're going to do that a few times. Squeeze the shoulder blades so you're sitting up nice and tall. You're not leaning forward. And if you're having trouble keeping your hands on the back of your head, go right here to your shoulders. This is fine. Okay, so if it's too much having the hands on the back of the head, just do that. We're going to hold here and breathe. So you're sitting up nice and tall. You've either got your hands back here, unless you're doing this. If it's doing this to your head, I want you to put your hands on your shoulders. So we're squeezing. Good. And as you continue to squeeze, take your right arm straight up overhead and then pull it back down to your shoulder. Take your left arm overhead and lean to the right and come back down. So we're going to do that one more time on each side. So as you raise one arm, we're going to lean in the opposite direction as far as you can and then come back down. And that arm is behind you, right? It's as far behind you as it can go. And then all the way back down. Great. Let's roll those shoulders a couple of times. Okay. So we're going to do another complex movement. And again, I'm going to show you this first. So don't do this with me now. I'll tell you when we're going to do it together, because you're going to be twisted and you're going to be trying to see what the heck I'm doing, and I don't want you to hurt yourself. So this movement involves using the leverage of the arm on our leg to come into a twist. When we were twisting before and going into extension, remember I said don't hold on, because people will often like push a little too far. This time we are going to push a little bit farther. And what we're going to do is I'm going to have my hand on the opposite leg. I'm going to have the other hand behind my head. So hang on, don't do this with me yet. So I'm going to have the other hand behind me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into this twist. And I'm going to come back. Now, as I'm doing that, there's another thing you couldn't see, and this is again why I wanted to demonstrate it to you. When I'm doing this twist and I'm coming back, I'm also turning my eyes as far around as they'll go. So I'm using a visual piece in this as well, because your vision ties in directly to how you move your spine. So let me show you one more time. I'll do it on the other side so you can see it from a different angle. So I'm just starting with my hand here, my other hand here. I'm coming into this twist and I'm turning my eyes as far as I can, and I'm breathing, and it's hard to breathe right now because I'm really in a twist, and then I'm coming back. Okay? Got it? Questions? We're good? If you can't get your hand behind your head, that's okay. Put your hand on your shoulder. If your hand doesn't go on your shoulder, put it on your rib cage. Put it nowhere. Just use your shoulder and go back. Okay, so however this works best in your body, and let me just say this, it might work with one hand behind your head on one side, but not on the other side, and that's okay too. All right, so let's start with the left hand to the outside of the right, okay? And we're going to take the right hand behind the head. So we're just going to keep the spine extended, right? So thinking about extension versus flexion. So I'm keeping the spine extended, and I'm twisting out to the right as far as I can. And I'm bringing that elbow back, and I'm turning the eyes as far around in the eye sockets as they'll go. So don't look at me, look behind you. So you're looking behind you, right? So twist, 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 keep breathing if you can. And then relax and come back. Whew. Give that a little wiggle. That's a workout for the spine, right? Okay. So the reason that we wiggle is to sort of reset things a little bit. Right hand to the left leg. Left hand behind the head. And then once again, thinking about extension. So we're staying in extension. We're not in flexion. We're in extension. And we're giving it a twist. And we're pulling back, right? So you can push a little bit into the hand that's on your leg and pull back a little bit with the other elbow. Keep breathing if you can. It's going to be shallow breaths. And then unwind. Give that another little wiggle. We're going to do that one more time on each side. So take your left hand over, right hand back. I feel like we're doing the Macarena somehow. And we're going to twist to the right. Twist, twist, twist. Oh, remember you're in extension. I forgot to say that, but yes, please stay in extension. And unwind. Wowzer. Little wiggle here. Left side. Good. Little twist, 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 twist. And unwind. All right, little wiggle. So close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to go inside your body and see where you feel something different in your spine area. Is it in your neck, which is your cervical spine? That's the pink part. Is it in your thoracic spine? That's the blue part. That's where all your ribs connect, right? That's your rib cage part of your spine. Is it in your lumbar spine? That's the green. And that doesn't have any ribs attached to it, but those are some really big, beefy vertebrae down there and some pretty big discs. Let's take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes open. How's everybody doing so far? What are you noticing? Just checking in. Everybody doing okay? You feeling more sensation in your spinal area? Feeling more sensation in your rib cage area specifically? Good. A little tingling in your spine? Tingling and burning. And where is the burning? In your thoracic spine. Is it right near your spine? Okay, so we definitely don't want to have burning in the spine. So we definitely want to back that off a little bit. So if it's too much, if it's a burning sensation in the tissue, like around the ribs and stuff, that's a different story. Okay, so we might be feeling that. So we're going to do a little bit more here. Again, power is in the twist, right? So you're going to take your hand. Some of you might recognize this. If you do a mat yoga class, you might recognize some of this. So all we're going to do is we're going to come forward and we're going to take the left arm and we're going to thread it under the right, run it along the leg, come forward and see how far you can get that hand out to the side. So we're coming into a bit of a twist here and then come back up. Right? So let me show you if you're curious for this. So the twist, do some of you recognize this from your mat yoga classes? You threading the needle, they call it? Yeah. So you do that on hands and knees, and when you're on your hands and knees and you thread this under, you come down onto the shoulder and this side of your head onto the floor. So we're just doing a chair version of this. So let's take the right arm, we're going to go out to the left and come down and breathe. And then come all the way up. Okay? So let's try that one more time on each side. So nice and slow and easy. You don't have to come way down. If you can, let's see if we can get like the elbow onto the leg, right? Or maybe the upper arm onto the leg. And then come back. And one more time the other side. So now, and come back up. So now we've got a sense of movement, not just in the thoracic spine. So we did a lot of work to free up this blue part where the ribs are, right? So we just did a lot of work to free that up because that part of the spine, this blue part of the spine, is the least mobile in our daily lives, right? So your neck, it moves like that. Your lumbar spine moves in lots of different ways. There's nothing preventing that. There's no bony structures preventing that. But you have a lot of bony structure here in the rib cage that's preventing that kind of movement. So what I want to explore, give that a little bit of a rest and kind of move some of this sensation down into the lumbar spine and a little bit into the cervical spine. And I completely forgot where I was going with that. Isn't that interesting how that happens? Yeah, we're giving something a rest. Okay. I think I got it. Okay. Took me a moment. Yep, I knew you guys would understand. So let's bring the feet really wide apart. And we're going to do something I call the spider. Okay? So with the spider, we're going to take the hands to the thighs, right up near the knees, with your fingers turned in. And we're going to come forward, lift the elbows, press the chest forward, lift your tailbone up. So can you see if you lift your elbows up and forward? Can you see the spider legs here? So this is like spider legs. If you look up at me, okay, right? So if you're here, I want you to get your elbows out to the side. So you got to really rotate. Yeah, that's it. Okay, and now we're just going to go from side to side. So go to one side and the other side. So as we're doing this, I want you to have in your head, itsy bitsy spider. Right? Kind of fun. Now, as you go to the left, I want you to turn and rotate your spine. Good. And then come back up. Go to the right. Push into your left hand. Turn and rotate your spine. Keep breathing. When you go to the left, as you turn and rotate your spine, look out over your left shoulder. Now we're getting the cervical spine in there. As you come over to the right, same thing. Turn and rotate your spine. Look out over your right shoulder. One more time on each side. So we're doing a little itsy bitsy spider. Going over here. And going over to the other side. Excellent. Come back to center. Let's bring the feet in. Let's kind of rotate that up a little bit. We're going to take the arms behind you now. And we did this last week where I had you grab hold of your hands and then see if you can walk your hands closer to the elbows as you're back there. Now don't lean forward. Don't twist. See if you can do it without doing those things. When you get your hands, so think about stacking your arms back there. Stacking your arms so one is on top of the other. Okay? So you got one on top of the other. And now your arms should be resting in your lumbar spine area. So if my skelly had arms, it would be resting right about there. And what we're going to do is we're just going to extend. So remember, flexion, extension. We're going to extend and lean back a little bit. And then come forward. So the arms are there to support you. So you're kind of leaning back into the support of your arms when you do that. We're going to do that 3 more times, nice and slow. Go at a pace that feels okay for you. If you can't get your arms behind you, if you can get one arm behind you, that's fine. If you'd rather, this is another way to do it, is to put your hands here on your back. And you can do the same thing. So you're leaning back and you're extending. You're extending first and then leaning back. And then coming forward, right? So if you have your arms crossed, if you have your arms stacked, we've just done 2. We're going to do 4. I want you to cross your arms the other way. So you're stacking the opposite way. Okay? So we did 2 with the arms stacked one way, 2 with the arms stacked the other way. And we're just we're extending, and then we're leaning back. Don't lift your chin up toward the ceiling, okay? So I don't want you to do this. I want you to keep your chin kind of level. And then come forward. Great. And one more time, we're going to lean back. And relax. Good. Okay. Bring your arms forward. We're going to come all the way down onto elbows and forearms. Drop your head down. Look for gum under your seat. This is a chair version, sort of child pose, if you're a mat yoga person. And then come all the way up nice and slow. We don't want to get dizzy. So we're coming up nice and slow. Okay, let's roll those shoulders a couple of times. Just forward, up, back, and around. Close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths. Again, just sort of noticing what you feel. Take a deep breath in, let it out with a sigh. Okay. So the next movement we're going to do, again, for the spine, and this is still the thoracic spine, which is the blue part, which is where your ribs come in, and your lumbar spine, which is the green part, which is the lowest part of your spine. I'm going to show you this because I want to show you what not to do. Okay, and that's as important as showing you what to do. So some of you might be familiar, again, in a mat yoga class with something called Sphinx pose or Cobra pose. Might sound familiar. I have a lot of blank looks, so maybe not. So from here, what I'm going to do, so let me do this first and then we'll do it together. So I'm going to come forward with my arms. You know what a sphinx looks like? You know, with the palms, the paws kind of out. So here I am in my sphinx pose. What I want to do is I want to come into extension. So remember what we've been talking about the whole class is how to combine lots of different types of movement, flexion, extension, side bending, and rotation. So I am going to be coming forward first, so that's my flexion. And then I'm going to come into extension. And when I come into extension, I want to extend my lumbar spine, that's the green part of the spine. And I want to extend through the thoracic spine, which is the blue part of the spine, not the neck. So here's what it looks like. When I come into my Sphinx pose, it's like I'm pulling my elbows back. If they weren't resting on my thighs, my elbows would slide back. I'm going to lift my tailbone, and you can see my spine is arched, right? Can everybody see that okay? Let me come to this side so you guys can see. So it's sort of like this. Here I am in flexion, and then I come into extension of the spine. And I can even lift my head up. Okay. So that's how we're going to do it. This is how I don't want you to do it. I don't want you to come forward and lift your head up. Can you see how that does nothing for my spine? I am just shortening my neck. And believe me, we have short necks. A lot. That's what we do. So we don't need more shortening in the neck. We need more lengthening in the other parts of the spine. Because even though this part of the spine, the lumbar spine, seems like it's really far away from the neck, it's connected not only through the vertebrae, it's connected through the nervous system, it's connected through the blood vessels, it's connected through the ligaments and the muscles. So there's a lot of stuff that's connecting that. So we ready to do this little movement? Okay, so come forward. Rest your forearms on your legs. Have your hands out like a sphinx, right? So they're nice and flat. And now, so you're in flexion. So can you feel how your spine is flexed forward a little bit here? Okay, so now what I want you to do is come into extension, starting with your tailbone. Lift your tailbone up. So you're arching your low back. Pull your shoulder blades down. Pull your elbows toward your hips, right? And then see how you can come up a little bit and see if you can extend your neck. And breathe. Beautiful. And then let's relax that. So we're in extension, we're in flexion, sorry. And then we're going to come up one more time. So lift up through the tailbone, arch the back, press the chest forward, lift the chin slightly. So your back should be doing a whole lot of work right now. And then relax that. Good. Let's take the right hand to the thigh, left hand to the thigh, push yourself up. Let's give a little wiggle. All right. How's everybody doing? How's the spine feeling? Okay. What is it? Activated. Okay, I like that word. That's a good word. I like that. Okay. So let's do this. Let's kind of integrate this a little bit. So if you just want to close your eyes, and if it feels okay, we've done a ton of work for the spine today, you guys. So if you want, sit back into your chair and give your spine a rest. Oh, that feels amazing. Yeah, right? So just taking some breaths, we're going to go back to like the very beginning, which is as you breathe in, your rib cage is expanding. What do you feel in your spine? And as you breathe out, same question. Your rib cage is contracting. What do you feel in your spine? And hopefully, after all of this movement that we've done for the spine today, you're more aware of the impact that your breath has in your spine. So just take some nice deep breaths in and out and just do that little investigation for yourself. Just sort of noticing. Take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes open. And so this is your test. What are the movements of the spine? Flexion, extension, rotation, side bending. Right. How many of those movements can you do all at the same time? Pretty much all of them. Yeah, because when you're side bending toward one side, you're extending through the other side, right? When you're flexing forward, you might be extending through another part of your spine. So you can do all of those movements all at the same time, which is kind of cool. Okay, one more part of your test. Let's start. Let's start with what are these bones here? Pelvic bones. Awesome. Turn around. What's that bone? Coccyx. Oh, we got the technical term. I love that. Sacrum. Lumbar. Close though. Thoracic. Cervical. What's special about the thoracic spine? Ribs. Yes, it's got ribs. Awesome. Everybody got 100. That's fantastic. All right. So, I'm going to end with our joke. Because you were waiting for that, right? Okay. Okay, that's why you come, of course. I knew that. That's why I added it, because I needed more people to attend. Okay, here we go. Why was the snowman rummaging around in the bag of carrots? He was nosy. That's a good one, but no. He was rummaging around. He was hungry. That's a good one too, but no. Why was the snowman rummaging around in the bag of carrots? What? He lost his nose. No, but you're really close. That's very warm. He was looking for his nose. That's really warm too. He was picking his nose. Please tell the grandchildren because they will love that. Love that.